now want to just take a minute to back up a little bit and tell the story. Some of you heard it, some of you have not, of why we're here and how we got here. In 2011, Congressman Ryan Zinke and almost simultaneously then Montana Senator Max Baucus introduced bills. Senator Zinke introduced a bill in the Montana legislature and recognized Joe Glass and Mark Radcliffe, as you saw in the video. Senator Max Baucus wanted to recognize the force in Washington, D.C., and he evolved that into a nomination of the Congressional Gold Medal. 156 medals have been given in the history of the United States. It took us 2 years to tell the story. When we started calling congressmen, everybody said, well, who are they and where are they from? And so we quickly shifted from lobbying to educating. And once they heard the story, in April, May of 2013, we had enough votes in both the House and the Senate. We had to have 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate signed on as co-sponsors, which in today's political environment is not even next to impossible. But we accomplished it, and it was accomplished on the story and the history of these men. The date was set for February 3rd, 2015 for the presentation. Prior to that, the 1st Special Service Force, the pipes and drums of the Black Devils, along with several other members and some veterans, went over to Italy to commemorate the 70th anniversary of the liberation of Rome. 1st Special Service Force is recognized as the first unit to enter Rome on June 4th, 1944. That gets lost in history because 2 days later, the Normandy landings. But when we started working on the ceremony in Washington, D.C., this gentleman standing to my right, Les Owen, who went over with the band and with the members, who just retired from the U.S. Army band, called me up and said, does the 1st Special Service Force have a march? I said, I don't know. And so we did a little research and we couldn't find one. So he talked to a couple of his brothers in the U.S. Army band, and they wrote a song called The March of the Fredericks Black Devils. So when we started heading out to Washington, Les called me and said, well, can we get them in? Can we get the families? Can we get them over to Fort Myer to listen to this song, to this march? And as we tried to work logistics and trying to get everybody on buses and get them over to the Capitol for the ceremony, it just wasn't going to work. So Les talked to his commander, Colonel Holton, who happens to be from Helena, Montana. Yeah, there's more to it than just us. Somebody else up there is watching over us. Colonel Holton said, well, if they can't come to us, why don't we take the song to them? So the whole U.S. Army band came over to the hotel and played what you're going to see just prior to us departing for the Capitol and the awarding of the medal. So here's what happened, and here is the March of the Fredericks Black Devils.
But then they were really busy in the Italian campaign and did all sorts of amazing things, and are very proud of the fact that they kind of led the way towards today's special forces that we all know and have come to love. So they are here to receive a Congressional Gold Medal on Tuesday. And Les Owen has been doing some documentary work. They returned to some of their original sites. There are some still left. One is 107 years old. And a lot of family members are continuing to keep their memories alive. So the intent is to go over to the Sheraton where they're staying Tuesday morning and share a few words about our pleasure in their service, part of the Greatest Generation. Show a little bit of a snippet of the documentary that Les is putting together. Play the anthems, Canada and U.S., and then end with the playing of this march that Paul Murtha wrote for them. They're really excited. So, let's listen.
So now it's official. We have a march for the 1st Special Service Force.